Today we are going to take a look at 7 funny moments from Johnny Depp's testimony, why they were funny, why they happened, and also what the lawyer could have done differently. Hello everybody, thank you for tuning in to Joe the Lawyer. I'm your host, Joe Pometto, practicing attorney in Pittsburgh, PA. Here on this channel, I cover legal news, legal analysis, and we go over funny legal stuff like I'm going to do today. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Completely free way to support the show. Could really use subscriptions right now. And before I introduce you a little more to the 7 funny moments and why I'm doing this analysis, raise your cup, your glass in the air. Here we take a drink together because when we sip together, it tastes better. Cheers. I know what everybody's looking at me. This fruit. Well, this stuff's good. Okay, delicious. So I already made a video on Johnny Depp trial and why I thought he was going to win and how he was maintaining control throughout his testimony. But the memes, the clips, everything just keeps on popping up, especially on YouTube. And I found some hilarious little cuts of Johnny Depp's testimony, and I've been pretty harsh on Amber Heard's attorney. Well, all the attorneys, although Amber Heard's female attorney, I thought did a really good cross-examination of the expert witness. You can find that Johnny's the therapist who had looked at Ms. Heard. Regardless, today I'm going to break down these 7 funny moments from the Johnny Depp trial, because you're watching this and you're like, wow, this lawyer, why are we here? Why is this happening in a trial? And I'm going to explain to you what the lawyer was trying to do and why in most of these instances he should have or could have handled it differently in a way that would not allow Johnny Depp, who's been a great witness, to take advantage of these moments and make himself look better. And if you want to know why that's so important, well, it's obvious. As a witness and giving testimony, you want to look good. But my last video talked about it, where I talked about how looking good and maintaining control can help you win a trial. And this lawyer in these moments is basically ceding control to Mr. Depp. So let's watch the first short clip and I will give my analysis afterwards. This one has to do with a lot of the hearsay that was talked about in this testimony.
Objection calls for hearsay.
Nani?
Let me ask you a different question, Mr. Depp.
Yes. Let's let him object to another one. Had a conversation with Ms. Heard.
Hearsay.
Let's move beyond the conversation that Kevin Murphy had with Mr.
Said, yes, they had. Okay. It appears that Ms. Heard had told
Hearsay, Your Honor.
she would like for him to cook. That's hearsay, I guess.
I know, it just serves off of the truth of the matter, sir.
He got it.
Okay, all right, well then.
I'm learning. Ms. Heard, that
I'll move to strike this as hearsay, Your Honor.
All right.
disturbing. Yes, I looked at papers. Maybe they're hearsay papers. I can read it out of someone's article, but not from the man's mouth.
So you can't deny that Johnny took advantage of a lot of those instances when it came to hearsay. So the first thing you need to know is, what is hearsay? Well, hearsay, it's very complicated, but to just boil it down, is the statement of a person who is not in the courtroom. So whenever a witness comes in and says, oh, Bill said this. Oh, Todd said this. You got to bring Todd or Bill in there to talk about what they talked about. That is hearsay. Now, why does this lawyer keep objecting to it? Well, first of all, it's proper for opposing counsel, so not Johnny's attorneys, to go ahead and object to hearsay coming out of Johnny's mouth that is elicited by his lawyers. And there's a couple of reasons for it. Number one, it could be very damaging testimony. And as the opposing counsel, you say, no, bring that other person in. Bring that person in. You can't have Mr. Depp talk about what Bill said, and Bill's not here. Number two, you got to make those objections even if you lose, because if you lose the case on appeal, that is the type of thing that gets appealed appealed. Technical, very technical stuff. So it may seem ridiculous that the lawyer is objecting over and over again. Now, everybody saw where the Amber Heard's own lawyer asked Johnny a question, and he started to give an answer that was hearsay, and then he objected. Amber Heard's lawyer objected to his own question. Well, if you're on cross-examination, so you're the lawyer questioning the opposing party, if you ask a question that brings out hearsay, for the most part, you're stuck with it. And that's kind of what the judge said, if you see in that reaction. But when it comes when it's the same parties, okay? So when Johnny's lawyer is asking Johnny questions and that elicits hearsay from Johnny, a statement from someone out of court, it is proper. That's when opposing counsel should jump in and say hearsay. The weird thing that I found about this exchange is he seemed to be saying things that Amber said, and the opposing party is not usually hearsay. Now, every state has different rules, but for the most part, it is not. But you do want to object. You do want to do it properly, but you want to be consistent with it. And it's hard to say without seeing the whole trial if he was consistent here, but it did give Johnny a couple of moments to make people laugh. Okay, now let's jump into the next part that I wanted to talk about, and this is when opposing counsel tries to spar with Johnny Depp. Let's watch this.
It's a pretty simple yes or no question, which is
You'd like it to be, sir. Nothing simple in this case.
And there, Johnny Depp hit the lawyer with another zinger by saying there's nothing simple in this case. So what the lawyer tried to do was to close Johnny Depp in by he asked a question, Depp didn't answer directly. So then he said, it's a very simple yes or no question. Go ahead and answer. And Depp shot back and said nothing simple in this case. And I think, boom, that's a bullet taken by the attorney, because he gave Mr. Depp the opportunity to do that. He gave him the chance. He said this is a simple yes or no question. That's not how I would have attempted to control the witness. I would have said something along the lines of, perhaps you didn't hear the question. Let me ask it again. Perhaps you didn't understand the question. Let me ask it again. Now, he's not all is lost here, because if the person continually dodges the question, they look worse and worse and worse. But I thought Johnny got a bit of a zinger in on him for that one. All right, let's look at the next thing that this lawyer does, where he tries to highlight testimony by repeating it and why this was a bad move.
October is 2 months before December. That's correct.
The document that you signed as part of your divorce proceedings, correct?
That's my signature indeed, yeah.
That is your signature on the right, correct?
Yes, it is.
This is the document you signed, right?
For the third time, that is my signature, yes.
And that was a document you signed in August of 2016, correct?
Is that the same one that I signed 3 times before? Yes, that's the fourth.
I wanted to make clear that you signed that in the summer.
Another one where, especially when mashed together, it just looks hilarious. Now, you can tell from the lawyer's last question what he was trying to do. He goes, I just wanted to make clear that you signed it. And Johnny Depp says, we're clear. After he answered 3 times that he signed it. So what was the lawyer trying to do here? He was trying to highlight testimony that he obviously thinks is very powerful and that he wants to use in his closing argument. And he's highlighting it by repeating the question. Now, the opposing counsel should have objected, but maybe just let this guy dig his own grave, because he's been doing that to a certain degree. There's different ways to highlight testimony rather than to look completely silly by repeating it, okay? You can make it the last question in a sequence of questions, and in a storytelling way, you can build suspense through each question until you get to the last one. That is one way to highlight it. Or as soon as you finish that question, then you jump to another set of questions and facts. That's another way that you can highlight it. You can also ask the question when you get the answer and then look at the jury, because if the jury sees you looking at them, boom, that's a cue that this is important. But repeating it over and over again, number one, is objectionable. Number two, can make you look sillier than the witness. All right, let's go on to number four. This is where Johnny and the lawyer get into it over respecting the court's time.
This is Paul Bettany, correct?
Again.
Okay. So you were drinking pretty heavily.
Were you there? Very ugly situation with Amber. So
Mr. Depp, with respect, trying to respect the court's time and the jury's time, that was not my question. My question was simply,
when you would agree, 5 minutes to look for a
you would agree that on
So Johnny hits him again here when he points out the hypocrisy of the lawyer, because the lawyer stated that Johnny wasn't respecting the court's time. And then he says, no, you weren't respecting the court's time. It took you 5 minutes to find a document. So what was the mistake that the lawyer made here? Well, number one, he was interrupting, which is this jousting that, again, would generally make the interrupting party look bad. And then when Johnny wasn't answering the question in the limited fashion that the lawyer wanted, he appealed to the court's time, the court's authority, and said, you're wasting the court's time, in order to get control of the witness. Now, what you'll often see in movies and television, I've seen it in a real courtroom, is when a witness sort of goes off the rails, then the lawyer will appeal to the judge and say, hey, judge, get the witness under control. And look, that's something that a lawyer can do, but it makes you look terrible. You know why? Because you're running to daddy, you're running to mommy to get a hold of this person that you're supposed to have control of. Now, the lawyer didn't go that far, though maybe it's happened throughout this trial, but he still appealed to the court's time, and it was a huge blunder because he had been wasting the court's time himself. There are other ways, more effective ways to control a witness. But now we are going to move on to the next video where the lawyer references a mega pint. And I'll tell you why this was a mistake too. And it set Johnny up for another hilarious moment.
poured yourself a mega pint of red wine, correct?
A mega pint.
Okay, I'm going to give this lawyer a little bit on this one. After watching it a second time, I think maybe he scored a point here, because while Johnny made a funny moment, he didn't argue that it was not a mega pint, and I don't think he did in his explanation immediately afterwards. So now this lawyer on closing can argue that Depp was drinking a mega pint of wine in that moment. Okay, let's go on to the next clip.
Right after you cut your finger off, right after, I won't give you anything to argue with me yet. Right after you sustained an injury to your finger, right after you sustained an injury to your finger.
And look, I'm going to, you guys know this, trial is hard, and I've been hard on this lawyer, and it's very difficult, but this particular moment here was just him sort of bumbling over his words. So what came out of his mouth was, I'm not going to give you anything to argue with me yet. It was a little bit funny, maybe a light moment. I would have just said nothing, bumble over your words if you're going to, but don't fill it in, just let it go. And again, maybe I'm too obsessed with control, but I think my tactics are pretty darn effective. So now let's watch this final clip, and you tell me what this lawyer was doing wrong in this clip. Maybe it was right, but tell me what this lawyer was doing wrong in this clip. You should know after watching the rest of the video, and then I'll analyze it.
I have other uses for your throat which do not include injury. I have other uses for your throat which do not include injury.
Sorry, could you read that again?
And from watching the previous 10 minutes of this video, you nailed it. He did the repetition thing again. So this lawyer asked the question over and over again because obviously this is a pretty this is a damaging statement to Mr. Depp. It's very damaging. And so the lawyer wanted to repeat it over and over again, and he did it 3 times. However, the lawyer took the wind out of it because he gave Mr. Depp the opportunity to make a joke about it, and it deflated the power of the statement, which is a tremendously powerful statement. Now, when he goes to quote this statement on cross-examination, and you better believe that they're going to use this on cross-examination, the jury's going to remember the moment where Depp made a joke about it, and it worked, instead of thinking how terrible was this statement. He should have left it alone, got him to admit it once, and moved on. Don't try to do too much. And that's probably the cardinal sin of this lawyer throughout this whole trial. I got to do a 2.5-day cross-examination of Mr. Depp, and maybe that's called for, but boy, did he try to do way too much in too many instances. Probably could have cut the length of his cross-examination in half. So what are some of the lessons we learned here is don't use repetition during the cross-examination itself to try to make your point. Use other things such as motioning towards the jury or the sequence of questions themselves to highlight it. Repetition can lead you into a trap. Don't interrupt your witness. Makes you look bad, can make them look better. And finally, have a plan. Have a plan. That's really the best way to make sure that you do really well in a trial. We learned what hearsay was. We looked over that. And also him trying to stop the witness and appeal to the judge. That's another weakness move. So I hope you enjoyed my breakdown of these funny moments, and I hope you can see that the lawyer created the opportunity for these moments. Sometimes the witness will get it in, okay, regardless, but if the lawyer has a really crisp planned cross-examination, he can cut that out. What you do is go boom, 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 boom. You hit your questions. You don't even care necessarily what that person says, and you're cutting off the opportunity for them to hit those zingers. Johnny Depp filled the dead time that this lawyer created at very, very well when he should not have done that, and even came back to hurt him when he said that Johnny Depp was wasting the court's time. And the key to eliminating all of this is following the rules and being well prepared. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is Attorney Joe Pometto. I'm a trial lawyer in Pittsburgh, PA. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. All right, everybody, peace out. Thank you for tuning in.